So now let's talk about multiplying, adding, subtracting, dividing fractions. And I kind of see this as like the final step in really understanding how to play around with fractions. So let's start with adding and subtracting. Anytime you add and subtract, you have like, say, two fractions, a or b plus c over d, whatever they are. The bottoms are always the most important because you want to find, in the previous video we found, the lowest common multiple. You can find the lowest common multiple and then add, or you can find a common multiple. It doesn't have to be the lowest, as long as they're common. So what does that really mean? So let's just say you want to add 2 over 5 plus 7 over 9. So what is a common multiple at the bottom? And essentially the easiest way of finding the common multiple is just to multiply them. So if you do 9 times 5, you'll get what? 45. The quickest common multiple to find is by multiplying them, and you get 45. So how did you get 45 on this side? Well, you do 5 times 9. So whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. You didn't change it. You didn't change the answer. So let me do this first. So you multiply the bottom by 9, you multiply the top by 9. So 2 times 9 is 18. So this number, percent-wise, decimal-wise, it's still the same as 2 over 5. Punch in 18 over 45 in your calculator, you get 0.4. You punch in 2 over 5, you get 0.4. It's the same thing. You just have to go through this procedure when you're adding or subtracting. Now 9. You know that you did, 9 times 5 to get 45. Now you do 7 times 5. 7 times 5 is 35. And then now you can, just represent it as like this. Now that they're common, you can start adding. And then you get 18 plus 35, that's 53, 45. And now if you want to, change it to mixed fractions or decimal percentage, whatever you want to do, that's fine. This is the answer that you get. That also applies for subtracting. Now you can find the lowest common. It could turn out that 45 was accidentally the lowest common multiple. The quickest way for me to doing it is just multiply the bottoms, and then whatever your final answer is, then reduce at the end if you can. Like if the top and bottom are like even numbers and you can reduce them by a factor of 2, then you do that. So 3 over 10, I don't know, minus 7 over 3. And if you had the easiest way is just, even if it's an improper fraction, if you had a mixed fraction, just change it to a fraction, whether it's improper or proper. It's always easier to look at something like this instead of, looking at 3 over 10 minus 2 and 1/3. So what is that? So what's the common multiple bottom? So the quickest way I just do is 10 times 3 is 30. So what did you do to the bottom? You did 10 times 3, so you do the same thing to the left side top. So 3 times 3 is 9. So now you go to the bottom on this side. 3 times 10 to get to 30. So now you do the same thing to the top right. So 7 times 10, 70. Now you do 90 minus 70 over 30. So punch that in your calculator. Negative 61 over 30. You don't have to worry about the negative. They include it in your answer, but it's not important. Like it just means it's less than 0, but it's not really important. It's meaning you just know that that's the final answer, and you did it the correct way every time you find a common multiple. Like I said before, there could have been a different lowest common multiple. Like it could have been some smaller number. I just chose, multiplying the two denominators. That always makes it easiest. Now, if you have three numbers, let's just say like I'll use the same ones. Plus, I don't know, 4 over 7 minus 9 over 8. And then I do the same thing. I do what's 10 times 7 times 8. It's 560. minus so 560. So what did you do to 10 to get to 560? So you do 560 divided by 10. You multiply this by 56. If you do it in your calculator, 560 minus 10, you get 56. So now you multiply the top, which is 3, by 56. 3 times 56 is 168. Now the 7. 560 divided by 7. How did I get that? I multiplied by 80. So I did 7 times 80 to get to 560. Now I do 4 times 80. 320. Now the same thing with the 8. 560 divided by 8 is 70. So now I do 90 times 70. 630. And then now I can just combine them because they have a common denominator. So let me just bracket that off. So you get 168 on your calculator plus 320 minus 630 is negative 142 over 560. It could have been a positive. It doesn't really matter. Um, just that you have a good understanding that you find a common multiple of the bottom, um, and then you move from there. I mean, this one can what 142. Let's just say you had no negative 142 over 560. That can be reduced. Like if you keep dividing by 2 or 3 or whatever is divisible to both, gets reduced to 71 over 280. It's these two are the same thing, except this is the reduced form. And this is a consequence of doing kind of like the quick way of doing it, which is multiplying all the bottom, because essentially in the end you're gonna have to reduce. If you don't find the lowest common multiple of the denominators, lowest common denominator, then you're gonna have to reduce at the end. Whereas if you did it before, you might be better off now. It might turn out that you don't have to reduce at the end.